Vengevine back in Standard in the form of a very ugly little green goblin, Afterburner Expert. That's what we're going to find out today. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron, and it's time for another edition of Much Abrew About Nothing. And this week, we're heading to Ether Standard to play one of the more unique Gruul decks that I've seen in a while. We're playing some Gruul Exhaust, which is almost like bringing Vengevine to Standard. So let's talk about this deck, what it's trying to do, jump into some games, and see the deck in action. So what is this deck about? And we really have two related plans. Plan number one is Afterburner Expert. This card, it's basically Vengevine, but in Standard. Well, Vengevine with an extra step, but it's a 3-mana 4/2 with Exhaust to put 2 counters on it, which we don't activate that very often. The big deal is, when we activate an Exhaust ability, we return it from our graveyard to the battlefield. So the trick here is, if we can get some Afterburner Experts into our graveyard, maybe with Fear missing out or Inti to discard them, Seed of Hope, Dredger's Insight to mill them over. Also worth mentioning, Dredger's Insight, the card's kind of insane. I underestimated just how much life you accidentally gain. It's like a cash grab that's also a meat hook massacre, where you get the cash grab thing, but it's a little bit worse than cash grab because it's sorcery speed. But then once it's on the battlefield, sometimes you just gain like 15 life and your opponent can't beat the Dredger's Insight, which makes it feel a little bit like meat hook massacre. But anyway, get Afterburner Experts in the graveyard, and then all we need to do is Draconics Engineer for 1 mana to exhaust and give everything haste and put a counter on it to get back all of our Afterburner Experts. But it's even better than that, because the way the timing works, if we activate Engineer, the exhaust ability is going to trigger, all of our Afterburner Experts are going to come into play, and then they will get haste from the Engineer's ability. So a bunch of hasty 4/2s, that's what makes a deck kind of feel a little bit like Vine or Vengevine. If we can just get a bunch of Afterburner Experts in the graveyard for 1 mana, they all come back, smash our opponent right away for a huge amount of damage. I guess technically we could also get him back with Redshift Rocketeer Chief, although honestly, the odds of getting to 12 mana to exhaust it, not very high, but 2 mana for ability is really good in this deck, because a lot of our creatures have activated abilities of some kind. Plan 2 of the deck, Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So you probably noticed a lot of our best cards have activated abilities, especially exhaust abilities. So with a Agatha's Soul Cauldron, we can exile our dead exhaust creatures and give all of our creatures with counters, which Soul Cauldron puts on a creature, that ability. So for example, we can turn everything to Draconics Engineer, and then for 4 mana make a bunch of 4/4 flying dragons. We can turn everything into Voldaren Thrill Seekers and just sack our board to burn our opponent out of the game. We can turn everything into Haywire Mites to kill artifacts and enchantments, everything into Llanowar Elves to make a bunch of mana. So Agatha's Soul Cauldron, kind of ridiculous in the deck, and it's really the card that makes me love this deck so much, because when I think of Gruul, I kind of think of the pump spell decks where you're just like, I'm going to play a bunch of aggro things, and I hope I have a lane line, and I just cast my stuff and try to win. But this deck actually has a ton of weird, sneaky, intricate lines and shenanigans, which is kind of unusual for the Gruul colors. Otherwise, Torch the Tower for bit of removal, mana base, pretty straightforward stuff. In the sideboard, a bunch more removal, Highwire Might, Tranquil Throwback for more artifact and enchantment destruction, more Graveyard Hate and another Soul Cauldron and a Ghost Vacuum, Screaming Nemesis for life gain decks, and that is Gruul Exhaust for Standard. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see if Vengevine is actually back in Standard. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats, tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. Much Abrew About Nothing time. We are playing some Gruul Exhaust in Standard. And, well, okay, we'll try this. No way to fill the graveyard, but we have the Soul Cauldron, which is super strong, and Engineer is one of our most important cards. Well, let's just play the land, and I guess we get down the Soul Cauldron for the future. See what our opponent's up to. Selesnya, by the looks. It would be nice to stop drawing low. Oh, there's Afterburn Expert. If only we could get that in the graveyard. So, well, I mean, yeah, I guess we just land and run out the Afterburner Expert. If it dies, that's fine, because then we can just get it back with Draconics Engineer. Oh, Thundering Velocipede, interesting. Let's play the land. I think what we do here is Thrill Seeker, back up the Expert, hit you for 6, and then sack it, hit you for 6. Opponent down to 8. Pass the turn, and then we can engineer back the expert next turn. Or, well, yeah. We can also try to do Thrill Seeker shenanigans. Opponent, wow, okay. I think that should be game then, right? Opponent, Overlord of the Hauntwoods, makes a land. The problem for our opponent is we have Dragnotics Engineer. Play it. Let's Dredger's Insight first. Maybe we had another expert, and then we just win. Oh my god, that's another expert. Okay, we will take a land, and haste up the boys, and this is where the deck starts to feel like Vengevine. Here comes the experts. They all get haste, and death. All right, well, Vengevine, back in Standard, and goofier than ever. Oh, the Green Goblin. Look at, I mean, wait, is that loot? Is that loot on a bad day? It looks like a before and after loot. It's like super blood baggy, scary loot. Loot's evil twin chained up in the basement. I don't know what they're up to. I mean, Frillback seems good. Paw Patch, probably decent. Or maybe Haywire's better? What are we going to cut, though, is another question. We go down maybe like a Redshift. Can probably trim a couple Seeds of Hope. Llanowar seems pretty good in this matchup. What else can we cut? Maybe we go down like one FOMO. Actually, maybe the Torch to the Towers are bad. We didn't really... they probably have Llanowar, though, right? We didn't see any real targets. Yeah, let's keep the FOMO. Let's try that. We'll go 2 Torch to the Towers. Run it like that. Game 1, that is kind of exactly what this deck wants to do. I feel like when I think of Gruul, especially Gruul aggro, I think of kind of linear, I don't want to say boring, but you know what I mean. Like, you just kind of play stuff and attack and hope that you win. That's what I think of as Gruul. This deck, though, seems like it has a lot of play in it. You got all the Soul Cauldron shenanigans, you got the Thrill Seeker shenanigans, you get the weird Vengevine-esque exhaust shenanigans. So for being like a Gruul aggro deck, there's actually a lot of weird synergies in this deck, which makes it pretty interesting compared to a lot of Gruul. Compared to like, I'm going to play Leyline and I'm going to cast a pump spell. Oops, you're dead. Like, compared to that play pattern, I feel like this deck's at least way more interesting. We'll see if it's any good. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not that good, but it's very interesting for a Gruul deck. This hand looks kind of great. No 1-drop, but I mean, we got the Engineer, we got the Soul Cauldron, we can fill the graveyard, and an Afterburner Expert, which we'd kind of like to discard. We'll see. So the question is, how much graveyard hate do we have to worry about? Well, I guess the most common graveyard hate is going to be stuff that we can get with our enchantment removal. Oh, opponent's got the Llanowar. Redshift. Well, that's Commercial District. Mill the Copperline, George. Opponent. Land. Gets in for 1. Tranquil Frillback. Well, let's play the land. Do we just Dredger's Insight? Actually, you know what? Let's play the Redshift. Get a body on the battlefield. Not the easiest way to return an Afterburner Expert, but but still, it does have an exhaust ability. Only costs 12 mana. That's just a little off the top. Although, if we can give... Oh boy, Hulking Raptor. Okay, things are getting kind of scary now. Well, let's play the Verge. I mean, I guess we Dredger's Insight. I don't feel great about where we're at, though. Mill some cards. Get back, I guess, just a land. We'll get the Forest. Ugh, pass. Okay, so opponent's deck is a lot different than I was thinking it was. They're a dinosaur ramp deck. I mean, I guess our opponent just had a much better start this game. Oh, dear God, Elish Norn. Okay, opponent gets in. Hits us. Oh, we're so dead. We can't deal with any of this stuff. I mean, Elish Norn doesn't shut down exhaust abilities, which is something, but not that much of something. So we can play a land. I guess we play an Engineer. I don't know if we can beat these big bodies, though. Opponent gonna make a little mana. So our opponent's like green-white ramp? I mean, if our opponent's got nothing in hand, maybe we have some slight shot. We can make a dragon with Engineer, which is good. The Elish Norn, that's a bit of an issue. Well, they got a fight spell? They're like, looking at their creatures and our creatures, it feels like some sort of fight spell. I don't know why you're thinking... Oh, it's a Tranquil Frillback. Okay. What are we doing with our green mana? So I imagine they blow up the Dredger's Insight, exile the graveyard. I mean, at least we still have our... Yeah, their deck looks way different than I thought it looked. Our sideboard plan might have went a little heavy on the enchantment removal. About it. Gonna gain some life. Get in with the Elishnorn and the Raptor. I mean, we are gonna trade the Dragon with the Raptor. We dropped to 10 for now. There's still an Elishnorn, which is gonna shut down Dredger's Insight. Also, hooray, and FOMO. How do we beat an Elishnorn? Well, I guess we run it back. Let's play another Engineer. Pass the turn, we make a 4/4. I mean, we're kind of in this game-ish. If our opponent has something... Oh... I was gonna say if our opponent has something else big, we're pretty dead. Wow, an opponent's gonna go Wrath mode. Yeah, all right. So we're gonna keep Elishnorn. We're gonna keep the Spent Engineer. This also takes away a lot of our mana. Opponent gets in, hits us. Voldaire and Thrillseeker, but no, man, this, yeah. All right. Yeah, it's Elishnorn. Okay, I'm a little nervous now because our deck literally has no way to deal with these things. There are no ways. I mean, bring in, I guess, Screaming Nemesis, Torch the Tower. I don't even think Barrage is worth it. They look way less enchantment-y than Game 1. Game 1, they look like an enchantment deck. This game, they just look like a ramp deck. Oh, I guess we just got to try to be very aggressive. Our opponent's going to win the late game because Elishnorn is ridiculous and we can't kill it. So I think we got to try to be aggro. Well, all right. I mean, this is aggro adjacent. Yeah, I mean, Copperline Gorge. Haywire Might. Go. All right, no Llanowar. Let's have a little bit slower of a start. All right, no Llanowar. That's good. Well, let's Copperline Gorge and get in with the Haywire Might. Hit ya. Fear of missing out. I think we just discard the Expert because we want to get that back for free anyway. Find a Thrillseeker. Okay, Thrillseeker is good for the future. Opponent, another Verge, and passing. Well, let's play our Verge and Screaming Nemesis. 6, yeah. Okay, this is the kind of start we wanted. We got to kill our opponent before they get to their big bad stuff. Opponent, Forest, turns on the Verges. Not a split up. Please, not a split up. Opponent has the split up. Play the Redshift, I guess. Restless Ridgeline. Oh yeah, that's bad news. That split up is very bad news. Up the Beanstalk. Draws a card. Torch the Tower. Well, let's play the land. I think we just fire up the creature land and go beats. We get in for quite a bit. Like, because Ridgeline pumps, so we hit our opponent for 7 down to 6. We do have this Thrillseeker, which could be relevant about it. Opponent needs something. They need something. Predatory Ooze. That is technically something. So do we do the... Yeah, I think we just do the same thing. Fire up the creature land. Go to combat. Hit ya. Pump it. And this should put our opponent low enough that, in theory, Thrillseeker can close it out next turn. We'll see. Predator Ooze. Opponent's deck is interesting. Another Ooze. Okay. Well, thankfully... we have a plan for this, which is play the land and back up the Redshift. And we're building our own Goblin Charbelcher here. Oh, throwing the Redshift at the face. And, well, I'm glad we won that because that matchup was scary. We got to see, so game 1, we got the aggro win. Game 2, we got to see our opponent's deck look very, very frightening once it got going. Game 3, we were aggro enough. The Predatory Oozes are interesting tech. It's kind of funny. They're actually insane against us if you can get them fast enough because we don't have a way to kill it, right? On the other hand, if you're up against a white deck or a black deck, it's just going to get exiled. It's going to be horrible. But it seems like interesting tech for Gruul. Well, okay. This hand is really good at filling the graveyard, and we got a Soul Cauldron, so hopefully that's good. Carbuzan Forest, and it's an instant. All right, let's sneaky. Let's be a little pretentious. Cito, mill a couple cards, and we'll grab a Forest to turn on this Verge. Well, opponent, we're into the Interest guy. All we want to do in the graveyard. All right, let's play Dredger's Insight. Mill some cards. Well, we're not milling anything for a Soul Cauldron somehow. Land. Or another Enters guy. Gets in for a what? Well, there's a Cetaphobe. Let's Copperline Gorge. Dredger's Insight. Maybe we can just gain enough life. All right, there we go. Let's get back in Inti. We actually want the engineer in the graveyard. Gain a couple life. Pass the turn. All right, this is... hopefully they don't do anything too scary here. Opponent, Mirix. And Knight Errant Eos. Okay, I mean, that is scary. Let's get back a Llanowar. Gain some life. So we can start doing Cauldron things. Opponent, find some 1-drops. Well, let's play an Inti. Let's Thornspire Verge, play a Soul Cauldron, pass the turn. Hopefully they can't kill the Inti. It'd be nice if it lived. The life gain from Dredger's Insight's more meaningful than I expected. Thankfully their mana is a little jankier for casting a bunch of white cards. All right, Case of the Gateway Express, so they can kill the Inti. Yeah. Wow, and they have Gleeful Demolition? Okay. That's unfortunate. Well, we gain a couple life, but we lose the Soul Cauldron. We draw more Lano. It's too many Llanowars. Well, play a Haywire Might. Play the Restless Ridge. Play the Llanowar. Play the Llanowar. Oh, that Gleeful Demolition was huge for our opponent. That was kind of brutal. Now we need a draw of some kind. Opponent, Novice Inspector. We do have a pile of Lithomantic Barrages in our sideboard. All right, I'm gonna start tapping. To the bottom. And now they sack the clue to draw a card. Try to hit a land. Do they find a land? Oh, all right, it's tapped, but they do. Opponent goes attacking while blocked with the Haywire Might. Get rid of the Case. All right, deck. We need a top deck. Down to 22. Fear of missing out. That's actually not the worst. So we can play Afterburner Expert. Fear of missing out to draw a card. Okay, there's an engineer. We'll pass the turn. That's not bad, because now we can block with the Afterburner Expert and then get it back next turn. Oh, I wish we had that Soul Cauldron, though. The Soul Cauldron was going to be so good this game. Another Inspector. The bigger issue is these things are going to get flying, and I'm not sure how we stop the flyers. And I don't know if we can be fast enough aggro-wise to win before our opponent wins with the flyers. Oh, God, another Knight Errant. All right, opponent. Gonna just keep drawing them cards. Another Warden. Opponent passes. 1, 2, 3. So we can play Afterburn Expert. Play the Engineer. Haste in the Crew. Untapped an Afterburn Expert. The opponent gets a free kill on the FOMO if they want. Yeah. Down to 16. Well, no attacks. I mean, we got to try to be aggro because our opponent's board is just getting more and more massive. Opponent. Resolute Reinforcements. And I'm going to tap him. Yes, Warden. Getting big. Getting big. Definitely outside of range of our removal at this point. Another Nesting Bot. So much to slog through. About it. Warden. Yeah, this might be a tough matchup for our deck. We'll see if sideboarding saves it, but it feels like a tough matchup as of right now. And now they have a 4/5 that we can't even attack through with our Afterburn Experts. Soul Cauldron would be an interesting draw. I don't know if it's enough, but I feel like if we had a Soul Cauldron, we'd have a shot. It's just a land. Well, I mean, play the land. Not great. Multiple Afterburn Experts are kind of nice because they can get each other back. I'll hit you. Opponent gets the servo. I'll pass the turn. I don't think we're dead this turn. We get back one Afterburn Expert. It triggers 2 Dredger's Insights. How do we get rid of a Warden, though, or win through a Warden? So what happens if we draw a Soul Cauldron? Then we can start turning things into Engineers and make a bunch of Flyers. That's probably our best bet. Even that, though, it's a lot of mana. Found more Wardens. Tron Assembled. And here comes the tapping. Yeah, I think we just die in 2 turns, and they have too many blockers. Well, that's one thing Boros is good at, is just putting a bunch of bodies on the battlefield. That is the Boros way. We need to be able to, like, one-shot them, but they just have so many blockers that it's not actually that realistic. Especially with our opponent at 6. Really? I mean, I guess this has also been a really good draw for our opponent. They've hit, what, triple Knight Aaron Vios, triple Warden. So they have hit almost all the copies of their best cards. So I think that's not helping us here either, that our opponent's definitely running hot. Well, all right, down to 12. I mean, I guess we'll give it one more draw, but I don't think there's a draw in our deck that changes the equation here. Well, we will make a 4/4 with flying. Get back to Afterburner Expert. Gain a couple life. Back up to 14. Untap. Get in with the Afterburner Experts. But they can just block him with the nesting bots, right? Yeah. All right, you got it, opponent. You got it. Well, let's see if our sideboard can do anything here. I mean, Lithomatic Barrage is good. Could bring in Frill back. They don't have a ton of artifacts or enchantments. It does get rid of the case, which is something. So what are our good cards in this matchup? I guess we just bring in more removal. We don't have any sweepers. I feel like Screaming Nemesis just gets blocked by all the 1/1s anyway. All right, let's run it like that. So I guess our hope is try to keep bodies off the battlefield early and out-aggro them. I don't know if out-aggroing Boros is actually the best plan I've ever had, but I don't think we can out-control them. So that only leaves us with one option, which is to try to raise. And it could work. This hand is actually pretty good. Turn 1 Llanowar. We got to torch the tower to get rid of something. And then the little Engineer Afterburner Expert shenanigans. Tap land's a little annoying, so we can't turn to the Expert. But, well, Llanowar Elves, anime style, for bonus points. And actually, the new Llanowar from the new Secret Lair drop looks super sweet. I hope they add that one to Arena, because that's when I play Nesting Bot. We draw an Engineer. Well, let's play Commercial District, keep the Forest, and I think we just run out the Engineer. If they go Red Source Gleeful Demolition, I'm going to cry in my soup. That's the risk of the Red Source. Okay, Sheltered by Ghosts. Okay, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. It's not Gleeful Demolition. Opponent gets in, hits us. I mean, we can answer the Nesting Bot and get it back, so that's not the end of the world. The question is, do we answer it with Barrage, so we don't have to pay the ward, but they get a token, or do we torch the tower and pay the ward? So if we go this direction, we kill the bot, they get a 1/1, we get back Engineer, and then we play Afterburner Expert? I guess that's good. Yeah, let's do it. So kill your Nesting Bot. Get back our Engineer. Opponent gets the 1/1. Well, we'll run out the Afterburner Expert. Pass the turn. Okay, things are looking up. Things are looking better than they did last game, at least. Opponent land. Warden of the Inner Sky. We got an answer for that, though. Opponent. Okay, that is a good answer for our dear goblin. But we get to torch the tower, the warden. And, I mean, I guess we get in for 2. And then I guess we just play the Soul Cauldron. Not doing a ton yet, but it is our best, I think our best card long game. Opponent has a Knight Errant, but not a great one. Only X1. Wow, they still got 2 hits. All right. Well, let's exile the Nesting Bot. Put a counter on the Engineer. Untap. Ooh, there's Afterburner Expert. Well, 1, 2, 3. Afterburner Expert. Haste them up. And here we come, Boros. Here we come. Here comes the goblins. Found it. Gonna trade with the Engineer. That's actually fine with us. I mean, it makes sense from their perspective because they don't want us to get this back. But Engineer under Soul Cauldron is pretty good. Wow, opponent just makes it 2/2s. So we will exile an Engineer. Put a counter on the Expert. Opponent gets in for 1. Sure. Speed increasing. Another Lithomatic Barrage. This is a power Soul Cauldron, right? Now we actually have like an infinite Afterburner Expert. As long as we can keep a creature around. Because we can always just turn our creatures into Engineers. Exhaust for 1 mana to get it back. Alright, we'll just let it go. I think our plan is to make a 4/4. Opponent, Novice Inspector. Opponent's trying to set up for a big turn with the Bushwhacker. Which they can have a pretty big turn, but it's not a lethal turn. Found it. Runs it all out. Pumps the team. Big attack. Well, let's make a 4/4. And I guess we kill Vigilant Token since they can block. Drop to 7 for now. Opponent hits max speed. Not that it really matters, I don't think. Well, we might as well Soul Cauldron. Now we have a dragon that can make dragons. Oh, another engineer. Oh, we can't. Wait, can we win this turn? We can't quite win this turn. But we can barrage the token. Actually, this forces a block, doesn't it? Or we win. Because we... Oh, okay. Well, let's haste up that dragon. that single +1/+1 counter actually gave us lethal there. Okay, maybe it is possible we can race this deck. That went pretty well. All right, run it back. Man, the power of Soul Cauldron it's so good in this deck. Soul Cauldron has got to be one of the coolest cards Wizards has designed in like 5 years or something. Oh man, it's so cool. It's just like it does so many things. And it's colorless, so you can do it in any deck. It's like an against the odds card, but it's so push it's not an against the odds card because it's like a card that they would normally print at like 6 mana. It'd be some janky against the odds card and unplayable. But they printed it at 2 mana, so it's actually kind of... Oh, can we keep this? The Torch to the Tower is good. Soul Cauldron's also insane, but we have 0 creep. We aren't... You know what? We're going to try this on the draw. We can kill the first threat, which appears to be a nesting bot. And that's actually a pretty good one to exile. So get rid of the nesting bot. And then hope we draw creatures and graveyard fillers to go with the Soul Cauldron. Inti is not bad. Opponent. And even more nesting bots. And a Warden of the Inner Sky. Well, let's play a land, play an Inti. And pass turn. Torch the tower on the Inti. Sure. Gets and hits us. No, you got Gleeful. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Now they can grow this. Well, we need to find Lithomatic Barrage very quickly, and also creatures. Opponent scries to the top, not a good direction. We find a Seed of Hope, which, not the best here. Well, there goes the Torch to the Tower that we wanted. Well, play a land or I guess. Ooh. Oh, yeah, this is what makes the matchup tough. If they can start doing this, we just can't slog through this many 1/1s. We don't really have a reset button. To the bottom. And there's a land. So I think this is our last turn to draw the Lithomatic Barrage, because then they can scale past it. Maybe we get 2 turns. Pound it. Up to gear 3. Well, let's Seed of Hope. See what we can see. Well, I guess we take Afterburner Expert. There's the Engineer. Well, play the land. Play the Engineer. Play the Afterburner Expert. All right, at least we got some bodies. Found it, Mirix. These can stop the 1/1s for now. How do we stop the big flyer? That is the tougher question. Pound it to the top. And, oh no. All right, Lithomatic Barrage right off the top right now. It's got to be right now. Come on, Magic Gods. Barrage off the top. That's the only draw that matters. Oh, no. It can tap itself. Oh, now it doesn't even matter. Thrill Seeker. Yup. That feels like a really tricky matchup for this deck. Boros. And, this end's fine. Llanowar into Inti or Dredger's Insight. Could use Soul Cauldron. Could always use a Soul Cauldron. What are we doing, Fred? Ooh, Demire. Temple of Deceit. So, could be self-bounce, could be control, could be mid-range. There are many flavors of Demire. Well, let's get down the Llanowar. Pass the turn. Opponent. All right, looks like self-bounce. There's a Scavenger. And a Storm Chaser's Talent. Could use a removal spell. Another Inti. Well, let's Copperline Gorge. I guess we play the Inti. Play the Llanowar Elves. And pass turn. One of the downsides of being Gruul is if your opponent can scale a big creature, Hopeless Nightmare. Well, we can discard an Inti. I'm gonna grow the Otter. All right, discard Inti. Number 2. Do a little impulse drawing. Ooh, all right, that's a hit. That's Engineer. And opponent, Storm Chill. Boy, their stuff's getting big. It's getting big. Scavenger. Inti, I guess, is kind of good at hosing Hopeless Nightmare. You know what? I think we actually do this. This might be wrong, but we're going to double block the Scavenger because we need it to die. Once it grows one more time, then we're not ever going to be able to kill it. Well, let's play the land. Gotta play the Engineer before we lose it. Play a Dredger's Insight. Mill a Cauldron, please. Yeah, maybe we just take the land. Oh, the land doesn't trigger the Dredger's Insight. It's either that or Redshift. Yeah, let's just take a land. Take a land past turn. This lets us exhaust even without the land and we're elves next turn, which is kind of relevant. Also, wouldn't mind milling over some Vengevines. Some Afterburner Experts, found it. Scries to the bottom. Oh boy, they're looking. Oh, all right, gonna scry with a hope. That is good news. I thought they were gonna bounce it, but if they're scrying with it, we can accept that. That's fine. 2, okay, 2 to the bottom. Also good for us. Attacking. I mean, we'll take it this turn, down to 12. We draw a Fear of Missing Out. Well, that's Dredger's Insight. See what we can see. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, grab that Soul Cauldron. Oh, that was huge. That was huge. Oh, check this out. Land. Oh, this is gonna be so good. This is gonna be so good. Play a Fear of Missing Out. Discard the Engineer for next turn Soul Cauldron, and then do a little, just a little exhausting here. Here comes the Vengevines, and we get to gain some life with the Dredger's Insights and big attack, and things are looking up. Oh, Dredger's Insights actually. Dredger's Insight. When I first saw it, I was like, is it actually better than the other option? Is it better than Cash Grab or whatever? The life is actually huge. Like the life is very meaningful. Oh, I swear that's loot. Ugly loot. See that little guy? Now look at him. Is that not ugly loot? Loot on his worst day? I think it might be. About it. Although I guess technically loot's what, a gremlin and not a goblin? Or a Furby? Found it. You know what I hope? You know what I hope the Magic movie is? So we were talking about the Magic movie. At first I was thinking, oh, it's probably gonna be like some Loot and Kellen, you know, falling in love, backpacking around Europe, some coming of age story with Luke and Kellen, which, oh my god. But you know what I hope it is? I hope it's a straight up horror movie, and that Luke's like the Chucky or something. I want Luke to be I want Luke to be the bad guy in a horror movie. That I would tune in for. That I could get behind. All right, so Dimir Self-Bounce. What do we want against this deck? So we kind of, in some ways, naturally play around it because we don't necessarily mind discarding cards, at least with some of our hands. I think we're going to bring in another Soul Cauldron because it's also good at slowing down our opponent's shenanigans. Haywire Might seems reasonable. We'll go down, what? Maybe like a Seed of Hope, a Redshift. Torch the Tower's fine-ish. We do want to be able to kill the Optimistic Scavenger before it outscales us. Like, Frillback's okay, Paw Patch is okay. How much do we care about trying to kill the enchantments, I guess is the question. The Haywire Mites are definitely in, because we can Soul Cauldron them onto whatever. Maybe just something like that? I don't know if it's right to, like, super overload on enchantment hate in this matchup. Normally, I'd rather just, like, not spend removal on Hopeless Nightmare, honestly. Given the choice, I'd rather not do that, but you gotta do what you gotta do. What are we up to? All right. I mean, this hand's fine. Not, like, super combo-y or anything, but we got the Torch the Tower to answer the Scavenger. Llanowar. FOMO. Hopefully we draw into some stuff. Opponent gonna start with a... They have a lot of tap lands, don't they? They like those Surveil lands. Seed of Hope's pretty good. Well, let's just Forest and get down our waifu. Apparently, the kids call it anime Llanowar. Opponent, Meticulous Archive. Does some milling of Fear of Isolation and a Spiteful Hexmage. Now let's play the land. You know what? Let's just Torch the Tower so I don't have anything on the battlefield. Kind of want another red source. Get it with a Llanowar, hit ya. And then we can Seed of Hope as an instant, pretentiously. Hopeless Nightmare. Well, let's Seed in response. Well, Dredger's Insight's actually not bad. What are we going to discard? Probably the Thrill Seeker. Let's discard the Thrill Seeker for future Cauldron purposes. Opponent picks up the Hopeless Nightmare. Well, let's do some Dredger's Insighting. Dredger's Insight. Do a little milling. Oh my god, that's a lot of... That is a lot of Afterburner Experts. Play the land and Dredger's Insight. Next turn might be good. Get back a Engineer. All right. Well, opponent. The Vengevines are coming for you. The Vengevines. Can we actually... Oh, man. If we draw a red source, we can FOMO, too. Just no graveyard hate, please. No graveyard hate. Anything but graveyard. I mean, they only have 2 lands at the moment. They could play Rest in Peace. Oh, my God. That would get us. But they don't really want to Rest in Peace, right? Because then it locks down their loop. So they probably are playing not Rest in Peace. I mean, this is the reason to play the deck. Like, this is literally the synergy. Opponent, Hopeless Nightmare. Well, let's discard a FOMO. And Nurturing Pixie. I'm going to pick up the Hopeless Nightmare. Or run it back again. Sure, it says. But this is where things start to go real... Oh, and a Torch the Tower. This is where things start to go really bad for our opponent. Because we get to play the Draconics Engineer. Get back a couple Afterburner Experts. And gain a bit of life. Haste up the crew. And... yeah, just a little attack for 8. It really feels like it feels very Vengevine-y. It is Vengevine with kind of extra steps, I guess. I think we just hold on to the land here. There could be a world where we need to discard it. Opponent, Witch's Vanity. Destroy creature with mana value 2 or less. What our opponent does not know is we have another one. Opponent hits us down to 20. Oh my god, that's a Soul Cauldron. That's kind of insane. Play the Soul Cauldron. Exile a Engineer. Put a counter on the Afterburner Expert. Play the land. Haste it up. Get back the other Expert. Gain some more life. Back up to 24. And, smack ya. Down to 4. This deck's actually sweet. Opponent gonna make a food. This deck actually feels super sweet. Fable Passage. And cracks it. Maybe Afterburner Expert's legit. It's felt really good this game. Opponent. I mean, this is the best deck in Standard, right? Opponent. Island and... yeah, we'll just take it. We're at 24. Temporary lockdown, but it doesn't get the Afterburner Experts. Opponent. Hopeless Nightmare. Sure. And Standard Vengevine coming through against the South Bounce deck. Well, that was pretty good. Is this a 1 land 1 keeper? It might be. This gets a... You know what? You can yell at me later once we lose, but this looks like a good 1-lander, right? Right? If we draw land number 2, this hand's great. Found it. Oh, artifacts. Fabrication Foundry. That is not land number 2, but we can play Llanowar Elves. We have a decent amount of artifact destruction. Oh boy. That's okay. We got the Haywire Might. We still need a land. Magic Gods. Okay, there's the land. So play the land. I would like to be doing other things, but we have to Haywire Might. We have to get rid of the Synthesizer, because that card is busted. And then, I guess we hit you for 1, since we're not doing anything else with our lives this turn. Opponent land. Thran Spider. I mean, we can actually use a Power Stone to pay for abilities, which is... that is a Soul Cauldron. Well, 1, 2... Oh, we're going to hit a land off this, right? We got to hit a land off this. Dredger's Insight. Do a little milling. All right, we hit many lands. Take a Thornspire Verge. Play the Verge. And Dredger's Insight. Mill. No land. We will take a Fear Missing Out. And gain a little life past the turn. So if our opponent finds another busted artifact, at some point, Oh, that's a good one. At some point we can hopefully get rid of it with... Ooh, please hit a land, please hit a land, please hit a land, please hit a land, please hit a land. Ugh, no luck. Okay, we'll take a Thrill Seeker. Very much not a land. We do gain a couple life. Well, FOMO. Discard this Afterburner Expert. Land. No, more Afterburner Experts. Okay. So about this one land, one keep thing. Chat. I'm just saying, chat, why did you make me keep this hand, chat? YouTube, why you do this to me? Pound it. Fomori Vault. That's pretty good. I'm gonna do some digging. Yeah, this is looking harder. Opponent passes. There's a land. Play Fear of Missing Out. Discard Afterburner Expert. Play a land. Play Egg of the Soul Cauldron. Let's just pass the turn and see what our opponent does. Fabled Passage. So what we can do is Soul Cauldron on the FOMO. The Might Stone, and let's see if they go after the FOMO. Okay, so we will exile 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be a little greedy. We're going to exile the Haywire Might. Gain some life. Put a counter on the FOMO. And then sack the FOMO to blow up the Glass Casket to get back a FOMO. And discard a Thrill Seeker. Opponent. Perilous Snare. Ooh, gonna hit the Soul Cauldron. Alright, that makes things tougher. But we do get to play the Engineer. Haste up the crew, I guess. Get back the Dorks. Gain some life. Gain some life. Attack, attack, attack. Untap an Afterburner Expert. Opponent gonna do a little blocking. Take some beats. And then I think we're gonna get rid of the Thran Spider. I don't know how many targets we even have for this, so we might as well use it. Pass the turn. They can get back the Leveler, but it doesn't do much. Okay, Unstable Glyph Bridge is good. The bad news for our opponent is they need more than that because we have another Engineer in hand and everything's gonna be coming back. Wow, another. Engineer? And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we could actually make the dragon and haste it in, and opponent scoops it up, and that's bad news for our opponent because now we get Tranquil Throwbacks, we get more Haywire Mites, and that might be it. That might be it. Just those cards, but we get those cards. I feel like we go down Torch the Tower. I don't think Torch the Tower is actually that good in this matchup. What about Paw Patch? Do we want a Paw? We could bring in another Soul Cauldron. Since we know they have answers to the Soul. You know what? Let's do it. Let's get on one Redshift. Soul Cauldron's so good. I almost wonder if just playing 4 in the main is correct. It is legendary, so you don't need 2. But there's a lot of artifact removal running around. Enough artifact removal running around that it might be worth it anyway. Okay. Well, I know one land, one keep worked last game. And I expect you to all praise me in the comments for my glorious magic skills. But this one we're not keeping. This one we will keep. And we will put I guess a Thrill Seeker to the bottom. Yeah, let's go Thrill Seeker bottom. Opponent. Fabled Passage. One land, one keep. It works every time. Like 10% of the time. Well, let's land and Llanowar Elves. Go. The question is, do they have enchantment-based artifact or enchantment-based graveyard hate? Well, let's just play another Llanowar. Play Commercial District. I think we just put that graveyard. I feel like it's gonna be better. Once we have put it under a cauldron. Opponent. Fomori Vault. 1,000 Moon Smithy. Yeah, that's a scary one. Well, let's Seed of Hope. Grab a land. Ooh, all right. Redshift. That does not answer these big scary artifacts though. Well, let's Fear of Missing Out. Discard a land. Oh, there's a Frillback. We gotta wait till next turn, but all right, play Afterburner Expert. Opponent. Not enough artifacts yet. Verge and Voyage Home to draw some cards. Well, 1, 2, 3. Tranquil Frillback. Pay twice. So we are going to blow up the Thousand Moon Smithy and I guess exile their graveyard. Ooh, opponent's gonna trade. Okay, we're kind of fine with that. We're kind of fine with the trade. We have the Engineer in hand, so we can get it back. Opponent, land, and Perilous Snare, going after the Frillback. And Glass Casket, going after the FOMO. Well, that was a good turn for our opponent, but we get to play the Engineer. And, yeah, haste him up. Get back our Afterburner Expert. Vengevine, yeah. Down to 15. Restless Ridgeline. I mean, it's working. Maybe. No Wrath, maybe. No Wrath would be nice. Authority of the Consoles, okay. And, wow, Fomori Vault. I'm gonna do some digging. We can't quite win this turn, but we can get in a pretty good attack. Opponent, Island. Because we can fire up the Ridgeline. Attack, pump the Elf. Opponent, down to 2. Play the land past the turn, and now if our opponent wraths, the Ridgeline can close it out. There's the Sunfall. But can you stop the Ridgeline? Can you stop the Ridgeline? Can you stop the Ridgeline? Opponent Murex, and passing. Well, the moment of truth has come. Ridgeline, fire it up. Ah! Opponent saw the line. Okay. They have an incubate. Right. Play the land past the turn. Oh, opponent. I didn't think they were gonna do it. Sunfall's kind of busted. Well, now we might not be able to get in the last 2 points of damage. That is seeming like a realistic possibility. Opponent gets in, hits us, starts their engines. Well, play the Redshift. Yeah, play the Fear of Missing Out. Yeah. About it. Oh no, and the Synthesizer. Oh, yeah, that's not great. Where's all of our artifact removal? Opponent, Fomori Vault for 8 cards. And a Perilous Snare. And yeah, I think that's the end. Yeah. Now artifact removal oh, we were so close. If only our opponent didn't activate that incubate. We'll turn it back. Sunfall. I thought they were a self-respecting artifact deck, but apparently not if you gotta play Sunfall. It's not an artifact. That's what we call cheating. Not literal cheating, but you know what I mean. Well, we're gonna keep this. No artifact removal, but we can do some Dredger's Inciting. Well, that's Commercial District. We'll keep the Carpusin Forest. Opponent, Flood Farm Verge. Well, let's play a Verge of our own and do a little Dredger's Inciting. And we'll just snag a fast land. All right, 1 Afterburner Expert in the graveyard. Opponent, Fabrication Foundry. Well, let's play the Copperline George, and yeah, I mean, let's Dredger's Insight. Get back a FOMO. Gain a little life, and pass the turn. We can still Seed of Hope on our opponent's turn. There's a Thran Spider. Well, let's Seed of Hope. Get back the Mountain. More Dredger's Insights? Do we just keep going? Do we need to put a body on the back? You know what? Let's just keep going. Dredger's Insight. Mill some cards. Grab a Soul Cauldron. Gain some life. Play the land. Let's just get down a Fear Missing Out. Discard the Afterburner Expert. Pass the turn. All right, 2 in the graveyard. Let's see what our opponent's got. All right. Mendicate Core Guide and a Braided Net. Well, I think it's time to start trying to do things. Man, Sunfall's still a blowout, isn't it? 2. Play an Agatha Soul Cauldron. Opponent. Going to tap down the FOMO. Let's play the Mountain. Let's play the Engineer. And exhaust it. Get back the Afterburner Experts. Gain some life. Wow, man. These Dredger's insights are kind of insane. Go to combat, attack, attack. Found it. Wow, gonna take the beats. This does make me fear that they just are going to go land, sunfall. Land, crack. Although, the problem with this for our opponent, which it's still worth it, but the problem with this for our opponent is, it does sweep away a lot of their creatures. Wow, just another Thran Spider, okay. Not a sunfall. I mean, that's good news. And another Braided Net, sure, opponent's out of cards. Well, let's try to do some fun stuff. Soul Cauldron. Exile a Redshift Rocketeer Chief. Put a counter on the FOMO. About it. Agatha Soul Cauldron. Well, in response, let's exile a Llanowar Elves. Counter on Crypt. We're up to 39 life from these Dredger's insights. All right, tap the Soul Cauldron. Sure. We draw a Haywire Might. Oh, this is very good. How do we just win here, though? Can we just win? I'm gonna tap a FOMO. Sure. Well, we will attack, and we will attack. If our opponent doesn't die, block, they just die, actually, to the Thrill Seeker. Sure. So kill a Thran Spider. Opponent goes to 8. Let's just play a Haywire Might and pass the turn. I think we just win next turn. Opponent. Another Braided Net. Sure. I mean, I think we still win next turn, even through a Braided Net. Opponent. Pass it. Well, that's Haywire Might. Get rid of a Braided Net. Gain some life. And we might as well... Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We might as well make a 4/4. Get back the Afterburner Expert. And opponent. Scoops it up. And the synergies of this deck are so sweet. Afterburner Expert. So I don't know if Afterburner Expert can actually make it in Modern. Because in Modern, I don't know if you want to play the exhaust stuff. But I feel like this... It feels kind of almost like a Modern deck, like a Dredgevine deck, but in Standard. Who would have thought the Afterburner Expert might be one of the best cards from the set? Well, sweet. Gruul Afterburner Expert Exhaust Shenanigans. Let's just lead on. You know what? Whatever. Tap land. Let's play the... Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Egg of the Soul Cauldron. The sweetest card in our deck. Maybe not the... Afterburn Expert is probably the most important. But Soul Cauldron... Oh, that card is so cool in this deck. Opponent. Concealed Courtyard. And Alma's Nightmare. Hooray! Okay, we'll discard a Forest. Let's just play the Soul Cauldron, I think. Let's just get it down. Get it down past turn. Before our opponent makes us discard it somehow. About it. Seagrum Coast. Mounts a Hopeless Nightmare. Yeah. Sure, opponent. Fear of Isolation. Bounces a Hopeless Nightmare. Passes. There's a Redshift. The question is, do we want to play this or do we want to discard it? We're going to have to discard something. This is the... You know what? Let's play Redshift. Let's play Thornspire Verge. Pass the turn. We know we're getting Hopeless Nightmared. Afterburner Expert's kind of a free discard, or as close to a free discard as we can get. Redshift, not the worst thing to get under a Cauldron if we get some creatures eventually. It's a Kaido. Alright. Well, now we gotta slog through a Kaido. If they... Oh, I hope they tap. That would be the best. Alright, opponent's gonna tap it. So we will Seed of Hope. Get back a Dredger's Insight. Well, now the Kaido's down to 2, so we get to just torch the tower it, which is pretty spectacular. Do we want to exile? Yeah, let's just wait. So we untap. Ooh, there's an Engineer. So let's Dredger's Insight, mill some cards. Get back a Copperline Gorge. And then we do need to get rid of the Kaido. Torch the tower, get rid of Kaido. Play the Copperline Gorge, pass the turn. So we can discard the Afterburner Expert, get it back with Engineer. That's our current game plan. If they make us discard both, it's not the end of the world, because we can Soul Cauldron to turn something else, turn the Redshift into an Engineer. So we can kind of play around it. There's the Hopeless Nightmare. Well, Vengevine down. And opponent, Schwamp. So we're going to do it. Yep, Fear of Isolation, pick it up, make us discard the Engineer. Like I said, this still works, though. This doesn't just beat us. So we will discard the Engineer. And exile the Engineer. Counter on the Redshift. Untap. Play the land. Haste them up. Get back to Afterburner Expert. Gain a life. Smack you for 4. And now we have some options with this Soul Cauldron. So we can get a Thrill Seeker, start throwing damage at stuff. Can also, I guess, just get a Haywire Might for a counter. Is this another? Okay. Not a Kaido, down to 13 for now. We can also make some 4/4s, which is kind of nice. Could have waited one to block the Fear of Isolation, but I think we just do it by surprise end step in case they have a Wrath or something. Opponent. Another Fear of Isolation. And the Hopeless Nightmare. Sure. Sure. And a land. And a Fear of Isolation. Well, let's make a 4/4. Exile the Haywire Might. Put a counter on the dragon. Soul Cauldron. Exile Thrill Seeker. Counter on the Afterburner Expert. So that's 14. And then we can put a counter on it. 15. And then we can sack them all, right? They're all sackable? Wow, that was easy. Yep, throw you at your face. And throw you at your face. And last but not least, let's throw a little dragon at your face. And Agatha Soul Cauldron. Wow, that was a cool kill. That was a kill we haven't seen yet. That was like the straight up Soul Cauldron shenanigans kill. Oh, if we can beat this deck, that's very good news. That is very good news. So what do we want against Esper Self Bounce? The classic. Well, Haywire Might's coming in. Torch the Towers are fine. We go down to Redshift, although Redshift was actually pretty good that game. Maybe a Redshift and an Inti? We could bring in Paw Patch. You know what, let's go 2 Paw Patches. We'll go down 1 Thrill Seeker and 1 Seed of Hope. Run it like that. Well, that was pretty much just the direct damage burnout kill. Soul Cauldron is quite the card. This deck's super cool. This is like definitely one of the most interesting Gruul decks I've played in a long time. What's the goofiest magic set? Just goofy level. Not counting unsets. I feel like this is on the list. Like, this has to be on the list. I also feel like all the goofiest magic sets have come in the last 2 years. Like, what outside of the last 2 years would qualify? Ooh, double trouble. Dredger's Insight's so insane in this deck. About it. I've definitely gotten a healthy respect for this card. Dredger's Insight's actually kind of, oh boy. Okay. Well, let's find some enchantment removal. Inti, go. Well, maybe we should have brought in even more enchantment removal. I didn't think this deck would bring in Rest in Peace because I thought they'd want it to loop their this towns, but apparently our opponent just doesn't care. Nowhere to run. Gonna take down the Inti. Does it say from among the milled cards? It does. So technically we can play a Dredger's Insight. I think it's worth it. It feels bad, but so mill 4. Ouch, man, if we were putting those in the graveyard. Well, let's take a... Oh, this is looking... Oh, that's actually really bad. Take a Redshift. Opponent. Dark... Yeah, Rest in Peace. Good against us. Oh! Double... Oh, boy. Double Rest in Peace. Okay, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. Let's play a Redshift. Play a Karpusin for us. So I think our game plan is going to be try to win with dragons from these engineers. Opponent. Looking at the Redshift. Reading the Redshift. Going to bounce the Nowhere to Run. Gonna play another Nowhere to Run. I think they do have the bounce too, though. Well, that's a Haywire Might. Alright, I mean, let's play it. Play the Forest. We want to wait until we get to 6 mana, I think, to play the Engineers, because we can play them and dragon them right away. Scavenger. I mean, opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. Opponent's passing. Oh, yeah, let's wait. Fear of missing out. Well, let's play the land. Play the engineer. Nurturing Pixie. You're gonna pick up what? A nowhere to run. Okay, sure. Nowhere to run. It's back. Now let's make a 4/4. And momentum break. Well, I mean, I guess we gotta sack the Haywire Mite. Oh, this Pixie's a problem. Opponent's out of cards, but that doesn't mean a ton. Yeah, opponent's gonna take it. Well, let's play another engineer, I guess. Pass the turn. All right, whiff, whiff, whiff. Not an enchantment, please. All right, opponent hits a land. That's good news. That's very good news. We need to force our opponent to block with this Pixie before it gets too big. Well, let's make another 4/4. Soul Cauldron. I'm not going to do much for a while, but we can play an Afterburner Expert. We can play a Fear of Missing Out. I think we actually just discard the Soul Cauldron. I just do not see it doing anything this game. Discard the Soul Cauldron. And yeah, I mean, haste up the crew. How much damage dare we take? Wow. The answer is down to 1. All right. Opponent goes to 1. Keeps their Pixie. Draws a land and scoops it up, and even through the rested piece, we took down the best deck in Standard. With our opponent having the best sideboard card possible, X2, Exhaust doesn't care. The Blood Bag comes through Afterburner Expert, and, well, this deck, it seems competitive. More importantly, it is just the most fun Gruul deck I've played in a long time. You know what? Let's do a little wrap up. Let's do a little wrap up on this deck. Oh, we got an achievement. Small power, big heart, whatever that, what does that achievement mean? All right, so let's do a little wrap up of Gruul Exhaust. And I gotta say, I love this deck, and I love it way more than I thought. Gruul is kind of like, whatever, like kind of a, brainless aggro color, but this deck is anything but that. This deck has so many shenanigans, so the plan worked incredibly well. Shout out to Afterburner Expert. This is really the card that makes the deck work, and the synergy of using it with Draconics Engineer or Draconics Engineer to turn it into like a weird standard Vengevine actually was really impressive and our best way of closing out games. And we had a lot of games where we just like mill a couple of these or discard them to fear of missing outs or inties or whatever, play a Draconics Engineer, exhaust for 1 mana, get back like 8 power worth of hasty attackers and just smash it for a ton of damage. So that plan worked really, really well. Egg of the Soul Cauldron is absurd in this deck, and we already know Egg of the Soul Cauldron, it's an absurd card. We've seen it in a bunch of decks in the past, so it's not surprising to know the Soul Cauldron is ridiculous, but it's especially ridiculous in this deck because so many of our things have activated abilities. If you look at our creatures, outside of Fear of Missing Out and Inti, which are fulfilling the graveyard, every creature has an activated ability, and we got to see like the weird Voldaren Thrill Seeker under Soul Cauldron, sack our board, burn you out kills. We got to see it putting counters on things. We got to see it turning Afterburner Experts into Draconics Engineers. So get back more Afterburner Experts. There's so many synergies for it, and that's what makes this deck so fun. Like, yes, we're an aggro deck that can just play our stuff and attack you and try to win, but we also have all these super weird, intricate lines and synergies that most Gruul decks wouldn't have. The other card, the last card I got to talk about is Dredger's Insight, and Dredger's Insight, this card is the truth. So during spoiler season, I saw it and I was like, okay, it's kind of like a cash grab. Which one is better? I don't know. Cash grab's an instant. This is a sorcery. Cash grab hits any permanent. This has some restrictions. Dredger's Insight gains life. Does that make up for it? Well, I will tell you after playing with the card, Dredger's Insight, I don't want to say it's better than Cash Grab because it still depends on the deck. Like the Eddie Merc Crab deck is still going to want Cash Grab more than Dredger's Insight because you want spells in the graveyard. But Dredger's Insight, the card's insane. And what I underestimated about this card is just the pure amount of life that it can gain. We had some games where we just drew like multiple Dredger's Insights, and just by playing our game of Magic, just like doing our normal stuff, doing some Soul Cauldron stuff, getting back Afterburner Experts, casting Insights and Seed of Hopes, we end up at like 35 or 40 life. The amount of life this card gains is actually off the charts, and that's what I think sells me on it. Unlike something like Cash Grab, this is actually like the Meat Hook Massacre version of Cash Grab. Like, part of the power of Meat Hook Massacre is it's kind of like a medium wrath, but then it sits out and you just like end up gaining 10 life and you're like, oh my god, I just won because of the life gain on this Meat Hook Massacre. Dredger's Insight's kind of the same. It's a cash grab, but then you have games where like, oh my god, I'm at 35 life, I'm winning just because I have this silly enchantment sitting on the battlefield while I'm playing Magic, and that's the power of the card. So I went from kind of in the middle on Dredger's Insight to like super up here, really, really good, probably like a staple level card for graveyard decks, just based on how incredibly good this card felt in our deck today. But anyway, that's Gruul Exhaust. That is building our own Vengevine in Standard. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.